The low spark of high-heeled boys, played by Widespread Panic on a Thursday night in the rain. I can't not love that song. It gives me tingles because when I hear it, I go back there to that moment, and there's nothing else there. And that's a Thursday night. So imagine what Friday, Saturday. So let's say you're driving in your car to work. You look left, you look right. Everybody's listening to something. And then with today's technology, I would say everybody's listening to the music they want. And the question is why? Because it makes them happy, it brings them what they want. And what's amazing now with technology is anything you want to hear, you can have it anytime. So you look left and right. Imagine the AM station, that's how it first started. A little static, somebody talking, FM station, commercials, you know the deal. When you got in your car and you had to go somewhere and all of a sudden there was a commercial break and you had a 15-minute ride and there was 13 minutes of commercial break, that hurt you. And when that hurts you, that means that music means something to you. Because you could have looked out the window and whistled birds, but nope, no good there. Music people. Everybody's got their thing. My old man came from a city in Cleveland and he had a little country piece. And then my mom came from down south Pennsylvania and she had a little country piece. And they would play in the house on the big old recorder the size of a tank, some 8-tracks and some vinyl. So we had a motorhome all the time. So we had the big 8-track, and the first 8-track we put in any time we went was Captain and Tennille. And yeah, played that till it wouldn't play anymore in the motorhome. And then that led into the next country, which got to me was Barbara Mandrell. I was a youth, very young, joined the Barbara Mandrell fan club, put her pictures on my wall, and I couldn't get enough of her. Story, so I'm up in my friend of mine's camp up way upstate in the middle of the winter time, and we have a huge bonfire going, and we have live Russ playing over the front porch. And I had all my fire gear and I was walking through the fire, but that is why you love music, because it puts you in a time and a place. And I can right now see that whole image, not because of memory, but because of that music, listening to live Rust. And any time I listen to live Rust, in the back of my head, you go to a place like that. And I think that's the key to music. It puts you in a time and a place. And your mind has that, oh, it doesn't get fucked away. So the Grateful Dead piece, it's very interesting trajectory, but timing is the key. So with all the person who introduces you to music, who's a little older than you, that was not their piece. So that I had to find a little bit. And the timing was 1985-ish. The Grateful Dead came out with Touch of Grey, MTV. So you know about the Dead, you hear a little bit, but that came out and it was just on loop. So I like this. And then all of a sudden you say, oh, there's more? There's more. And then you grab somebody like yourself and they lead you this path. But that touch is the key. Then going to being able to be 16 and going to Giant Stadium and seeing it going in the afternoon and spend the whole day and doing all the fun stuff the Grateful Dead is known for. You make it a 20-hour commitment and you come back and you smile ear to ear. You're like, that's like no other music you can imagine. And then that's without even knowing the music. That's just more the atmosphere. And then little by little, the music you take a little more in, a little more in, a little more in, a little more in, because it's a lifelong commitment to take in all the Grateful Dead. If you want to rock, the late 70s, 78 Cornell, Morning Dew, I can't imagine any better song that there is. And I remember sharing that song with somebody who's not a Grateful Dead fan, but a music fan. And what I did is I took them through the song. And that's the Grateful Dead. If somebody does that to you, hey, listen, you hear this, this guy wants to do this guy wants to do this. No other band does that. And that's the Dead. Oh, look, the keyboard wants to go, oh, no. So that piece is that. And then the other side of the Grateful Dead, which I love, is stuff like, Looks Like Rain, those are songs because they has a personal connection to a girl. So that's the gamut of the Grateful Dead. Generation 80s, they wanted you to buy music because that was how you got success. You bought music, you bought music, you bought music. So BMG came up with a thing where they come to your house with a piece of paper. They say, you have 50, 60, 70 CDs for $1. Okay. And then you pay $1 a month for a period of time. And you just get CDs. And all of a sudden the big payment comes. But you can order wherever you want. So that gives you so much access to music. Laying in bed at night, watching those commercials, infomercials. One of them I saw was Freedom Rock. Certain amount of money, you get all these awesome classic rock musics. So you lay in bed, you're listening to them. Oh, this one's good. I buy it, boom. To my house, they give me a nice group of about 6, 7 tapes, and then you had Freedom Rock. Every music, every song you wanted from the 60s and the early 70s, boom, instantly.
Stones.
I would say the Stones, no doubt, but it's so hard to make that decision. You could argue both of those, but if I had to pick one tomorrow, it would definitely be the Stones. I think the whole atmosphere of Keith adds a piece, the whole allure of Mick adds a piece. When you start in pieces of Bill Wyman in the background and his thoughts of other things, somebody like Mick could leave the guitar, go somewhere else, and then somebody like Ronnie Wood could come in and slide in, and it's like, wow, and it's a machine and it keeps going. And I think he said it in the early 70s, greatest rock and roll band in the world, but they don't let anybody try to overtake them. They just keep plowing away. And now you're 50 years old? Buddy of mine brought me down to the Garden, said, you want to go see the Stones? I said, yes. Walk down. Next thing I know, I'm standing on the front of the stage in Madison Square Garden, and I get to see the boys. So that cemented a piece in my head. You always build up in your mind, and then when you see your idols, right in front of you, Stones. Sitting in Jones Beach, not Jones Beach, PNC Art Center. If you remember, the background had sand, and went down there and to see Neil Young. And it was a beautiful night. It was last night that Michael was staying around before he was going out west. But get a little chair, sit down in a little chair with a cold beverage in the sand, in the outside, and he played a set list that I could not enjoy more outside. After seeing a set list inside, magnificent world, and then found out that it was recorded, and I could hear it again and again and again. This is prior to today's technology. So that concert stands out because I can put myself sitting down in the little beach chair with my feet in the sand, looking at Neil under the little thing of PNC, enjoying the music to the point I can feel my feet right now in the sand. Listen to Motorcycle Mama. Motorcycle Mama came out, and I can see it right now. And that's why it's my favorite concert. I can put myself back there now. But again, you can. I saw The Wall with Roger Moore, same thing. But my sister got remarried. This guy from Brooklyn, big old rough guy named Dave, and he came over and nice guy, because the first thing he tried to do with me is to bond with me. And he grabbed me, and he knew I played baseball, so he grabbed me and we went to do batting cage stuff. And then when you start doing, on the way to the batting cage stuff, he would play me music that I'd never heard before. And one of the bands he pulled up was a band called Yes. I said, I never hear any of this stuff. So in the course of the time that he was in the family early on, he would just feed music. And he was yes. And then he would tell stories about seeing Yes in the 70s. And that would tie the Yes piece together. So eventually, what's your first beach? You can go see Yes. And then it was cemented in. So that led to other bands like Rush, that whole other piece. So without that push, I would have continued the country maybe? I don't know. But he opened my eyes, and what's cool is that those tentacles moved other people to Yes too. Because Yes is one of those bands you love or hate. And if you ask somebody what's your favorite Yes song, they love it or not. But Big Dave did that, opened up the world of music, that piece to me. Interesting. Dazed and Confused from that, I think it's about 25 minutes long. And I did a period of probably a year of my life when at the end of the night, any night I went to sleep by putting headphones on and turning on Dazed and Confused from Song Remains the Same. And it kind of gave me about a 20-something minute mellow world, rock and roll world, mellow world, rock and roll, and I kind of faded to sleep. And I can't remember how many times I woke up with the headphones on, and they're green. But the idea was to see all these great bands in Hunter, which is not too far from where we live, which is obviously makes it an easy piece. And you went there, if I'm correct, the first year you learned about the weather a little bit, where you can have some cold weather come in and then some beautiful weather. But you have these bands, and you're allowed to, oh, this sounds good. I like, and you can walk up closer and closer and closer, and you can stand and watch the bands play anybody you wanted. And then I found this one band, in Saturday afternoon, the sun's shining, and it's the band's called Sister Sparrow. And the lead guitar was played by harmonica, which right there is a huge piece. They had a very pretty young singer, and they just jammed, and it grabbed me like this is awesome. Then I was told that when they were done, if I wanted to go talk to them, I can go over there and go sit down and say, hey, how you doing, and have any conversation I want. I said, this is someplace, Mountain Jam. And then the music gets better and better, and you can walk up and have a great interaction with any person on the stage. And that's what Mountain Jam was. And then it was also the whole, it's like a little festival, so you have a whole world. The timing is great. There's so much stuff. I think it starts around noon, but it ends at 4 in the morning. Now you can't do all that, so what's fun is you pick your little shifts that you go out to see. You can't see everything, but let me go see this, let me go see this, let me go see this. Oh, I missed this. Okay, well, how was that? Okay, let's. And it's just a plethora of music. Now, the favorite thing I got is the music's so good is that maybe a year later, you would hear those bands that you saw at Mountain Jam on the radio. Sirius Radio would come up, boom. And I'm like, I saw them at Mountain Jam. And watching them grow is the piece. You go back 2 years later, 3 years later, they come back and they're even bigger. And then what's the next crowd? All right, let me bring in these people. And they come in and you hear them on the radio again. That was such a joy to me.